The peloton is already breaking apart, 81 kilometers from the finish. Tadej Pogacar attacks alone. No hesitation, no warning, and somehow nobody follows. 6.2 watts per kilogram, driven through Tuscan dust on white gravel. Team radios erupting, rivals shattering one by one. A gap that opens in seconds and never closes. Strade Bianche, Milan, San Remo, Tour of Flanders, Liège-Bastogne. Liège, monument after monument, detonated by a single rider. The most dominant cyclist of this era isn't just winning races. He's rewriting what the peloton believed a human body could do. And the question haunting every team car, every directeur sportif, every physiologist in the sport is the same. How? 100 kilometers of white gravel snake through the hills, the air thick with tension and the taste of limestone. Monte Sante Marie, the sector that breaks even the toughest. No warning, no radio chatter. Only the sound of a single chain tightening and a sudden, violent acceleration. Tadej Pogacar stands on the pedals. It's not a test. It's not a bluff. It's a detonation. For 21 seconds, the numbers defy belief. 6.2 watts per kilogram, sustained in a cloud of grit, legs spinning at 112 revolutions per minute. Heart rate jumps from 152 to 176 in a heartbeat. The peloton's reaction is pure panic. Radios explode with desperate commands. Team directors scream for a response. But nobody can move. In that instant, the gravel sector becomes a laboratory. Every rival reduced to a data point. Every chase effort shredded by physics and fear. The telemetry overlay tells the truth. Power surges from 420 to 460 watts. Speed leaps from 38 to 49 kilometers per hour. The gap opens in seconds, and the chase collapses before it begins. This is not just watts per kilogram. It is a physiological event horizon. Riders like Vingegaard, Evenepoel, Van der Poel, all trapped behind an invisible wall. The science says a 6.2 watts per kilogram surge for 20 seconds is the breaking point. In elite cycling, that is where the peloton ruptures. But on this day, the rupture is total. Nobody can follow. Monte Sante Marie is supposed to be a place for suffering, not miracles. But Pogacar's solo move turns it into a proving ground for modern cycling science. Every pedal stroke is amplified by years of performance lab work, recovery optimization, and aerodynamic obsession. NVE carbon wheels slice through the dust. Shimano Dura Ace shifts under full torque, no hesitation, no loss of cadence. The world's best riders are left fighting for air, staring at a gap that only grows. The silence behind him is deafening, just the rattle of chains, the slap of gravel, and the echo of disbelief. For the next hour, the race becomes a solo exhibition. The watts never drop. Power files later show a 5-minute maximum of 460 watts, heart rate steady in the red. Recovery science, blood lactate protocols, and nutrition systems, every element of the UAE Team Emirates XRG ecosystem is on display. But in this moment, it is not about technology or tactics. It is about a rider who can do what nobody else dares even to attempt. The finish line in Siena is still over an hour away, but the race is already decided. The peloton knows it. The directors know it. Every rival's face is coated in dust and resignation. The question is not just how he did it. It is whether anyone in the history of professional cycling could have done it at all. This is the new standard for dominance, a single, explosive attack that rewrites what is possible in a cycling documentary, a Tour de France documentary, or any cycling analysis ever recorded. The fear now is not just of losing, it is of being made irrelevant by a new kind of power. Late afternoon on the Ligurian coast, the peloton is stretched thin, nerves wound tight. Milan San Remo, cycling's longest one-day race, narrows to a single point, the Poggio. For 280 kilometers, every move has been about survival, waiting for the trap to spring. The Cipressa has already broken the sprinters. Soudal Quickstep's relentless pace has left only the strongest at the front, burning through teammates, trying to control what cannot be contained. Tadej Pogacar sits third wheel, shielded by his last UAE teammate, eyes locked on the road ahead. Mathieu van der Poel hovers nearby, every muscle ready to snap. The air is thick, salt, sweat, the tang of overheated carbon. The Poggio is not just a climb, it is a chessboard, every pedal stroke a calculation. At the base, the pace is brutal. Soudal Quickstep strings out the group, but Pogacar's team has already done their work, keeping him out of the wind, away from chaos. Then, with 800 meters to the crest, the moment arrives. Pogacar stands, shifts, and launches. His cadence surges, legs spinning at 105 revolutions per minute, power peaking over 600 watts. The gap opens instantly. Van der Poel hesitates, not long, just a heartbeat. But on the Poggio, that is enough. Pogacar is gone before the rest can react. Race data confirms the damage. 7 seconds at the summit. Not 5, not 3, 7. That is the difference between victory and defeat. Behind, the chase unravels, radios crackle, alliances dissolve, directors shout into the void. Van der Poel looks for help, but no one can match the pace. The descent is a blur, every corner a risk, every meter a test of nerve. Pogacar does not flinch, he knows the lines, trusts his limits. Envy wheels slice the air. Shimano Dura Ace shifts under pressure, every move precise. San Remo waits below, sunlit and tense. The gap holds, 7 seconds, then 6, then 7 again. The chasers burn themselves out, but the elastic never snaps back. The finish line approaches, and with it, the realization, this is not just a climber. Pogacar has turned the most tactical finish in cycling into a solo demonstration. No slipstream, no draft, no second chances. Van der Poel crosses the line, face blank, disbelief etched in salt and sweat. The peloton trickles in, each rider replaying the moment the race slipped away. Pogacar, surrounded by cameras, his jersey streaked with salt, searches for rivals who never came. The question lingers, how do you close a 7-second gap when every team, every sponsor, every watt of technology is chasing? On the Poggio, hesitation is defeat. The world's best are left playing catch-up, trapped by a rider who sees 3 moves ahead. The Poggio is no longer just a climb. It is a test. Who dares to follow when the future attacks? The world's best are strung out, legs screaming, lungs roar, when Tadej Pogacar detonates the group on the second Eau de Quaremont. The surge is almost silent, just chain, breath, and the sharp crack of carbon wheels over ancient stones. For nearly 3 minutes, his power meter holds steady at 530 watts. That is 8.1 watts per kilogram. No drafting, no hiding, no margin for error. He weighs 64.5 kilograms, but the force he unleashes belongs to something almost inhuman. Behind him, Wout van Aert, a Flanders master, a man built for these roads, tries to follow. Van Aert's own numbers are world-class, 7.8 to 8.2 watts per kilogram on the same climb. But the gap grows, meter by meter, watt by watt. The difference is not just visible, it is measurable. A 15% edge, carved out in pure muscle and oxygen. The science behind it is cold, clinical, and impossible to ignore. Pogacar's VO2 max sits at 90 milliliters per kilogram per minute. That is not just elite, it is at the far edge of what has ever been recorded for a Tour de France champion. Most Grand Tour winners hover around 84. Even the legends, Merckx, Hinault, Indurain, never touched this threshold. At this level, every litre of blood carries more oxygen, every pedal stroke burns hotter and lasts longer. The result is a 40-minute climbing power of 442 watts, a threshold estimated at 450. On paper, it looks like a misprint. In the flesh, it is a demolition. But numbers alone do not explain the carnage. It is the way he manages suffering. Blood lactate, the silent killer of legs and hope, builds up in every rider. But Pogacar's recovery protocols, cryotherapy blocks, hyperoxygenated chambers, periodized nutrition, have shifted his lactate threshold down to 3.2 millimoles per litre at race intensity. That is a full 22% lower than rivals like Van Aert, Vingegaard, or Evenepoel. The pain comes, but it clears. He can surge again and again, while others drown in acid. The difference is visible in the chase, faces twisted, shoulders rocking, every pedal stroke a negotiation with collapse. Pogacar, head down, cadence smooth, heart rate redlined but steady. The chain noise is the only sign of effort. Every metric tells the same story. Peak power to weight on the steepest ramps, 10 watts per kilogram, nearly 640 watts on the meter. VO2 max at 90, a 7% advantage over the best of the rest. 40-minute climbing efforts that leave even the strongest gasping. A threshold power 7% above the old guard. Blood chemistry that shrugs off the suffering. It is not just physiology, it is a new species of endurance. Compare the files. Van Aert's best numbers in Flanders, 8.5 watts per kilogram at his absolute limit, still leave him 15% short when the hammer drops. The gap is not psychological. It is written in muscle fibers, mitochondria, and the invisible math of oxygen uptake. Every watt, every heartbeat, every molecule of lactic acid has been optimized, measured, and weaponized. This is the edge of human capacity, the line where science, suffering, and obsession fuse into something the peloton cannot touch. The sport's old limits are gone. The fear in the group is not just about losing, it is about being made obsolete by a number, by a power file, by a rider who can turn physiology into a weapon. Flanders becomes a laboratory, the peloton a control group, and Pogacar the outlier who shatters the curve. The only question left is how much farther the numbers can go before the sport itself has to change. Radios snap to life in the UAE Team Emirates XRG convoy, each command precise, clipped, and immediate. Zone control, front 5. Riders shift into position, forming a moving shield around Tadej Pogacar. The peloton is not improvising, it is following a script. One updated second by second by algorithms running in the background. Every move is anticipated. Every rival's plan weighed against lines of code and probability. Numbers speak louder than any attack in the high mountains. 68% of all race minutes, Pogacar is in the front group, protected by teammates drilled in their roles. AI simulations run before dawn have already mapped the day, which breakaways matter, where the wind will change, when rivals will try and fail. Hold, wait for the hard gate, the radio says. The peloton tightens, the pressure mounting. Jonas Vingegaard, the only rider with numbers close enough to pose a threat, tries to break the pattern. On the Col de la Loze, his Visma Lease bike team launches a calculated assault, aggressive pacing, a hard gate at the steepest pitch. Visma's own model gives them a 30% shot at breaking UAE's control, but the AI in the Emirates car is already ahead. Counter at 2 kilometers to go. Domestiques lift the tempo by 22 watts. Vingegaard attacks. Pogacar's team does not blink. The gap closes before it can open. Cyclo Predict, the team's prediction engine, logs another win, 78% accuracy for the season. Every rival move mapped and neutralized before it has a chance to breathe. Military plane radio transcripts from the Tour de France read like orders: protect, bridge, launch. Each word triggers a precise response. Matteo Benedetti pulls the group through a crosswind. Isaac Del Toro sets a relentless mountain tempo at 350 watts, 85 revolutions per minute. The draft shield effect saves Pogačar 1 minute and 12 seconds in the high Alps. That is not just a stat, it is a sentence for anyone hoping to drop him. In the classics, the same hierarchy rules. 3 domestiques rotate at the front, sacrificing themselves to keep the leader out of the wind, storing every kilojoule for the final move. The result? Solo attacks outnumber group sprints 3-1. The rest of the field left chasing shadows. Every decision is a fusion of muscle and microchip. The AI does not just predict attacks, it scripts the counter moves, feeding the director, sportif, the right call at the right second. When Visma tries to force a split on Montepenicio, the UAE radio is already ahead. Bridge now. Block left. The gap never forms. The peloton is caught in a web of data, every move anticipated, every hope of surprise erased. UAE's leader spends 68% of the season in the front group, compared to 54% for any rival. Domestique attacks succeed twice as often as the rest of the World Tour. Time saved on climbs, over a minute per stage. The AI's 78% prediction hit rate is the silent engine behind every victory, every shattered rival, every race rewritten in real time. For the chasers, the psychological toll is relentless. When the radio says hold and counter, your best move has already been seen and erased. Vingegaard, Evenepoel, Van Aert. They are not just racing Pogačar. They are racing a system that learns, adapts, and never forgets. The old instincts, attack, react, improvise, are obsolete. The new game is played in the ether, in the milliseconds between command and execution. Every stage, the outcome feels inevitable. Not because the rivals are weak, but because UAE's tactical engine has turned cycling into chess at 50 kilometers an hour. The future is not just legs and lungs, it is radio static, AI code, and a hierarchy that turns strength into something almost unstoppable. The hum of turbines drowns out every voice. Engineers in white coats stare at monitors, searching for numbers that will turn watts into seconds. The Colnago C64 Roubaix Ready sits on its stand, deep section NV wheels locked in place. A Shimano Dura Ace RT200 group set gleaming under laboratory lights. Every surface, every cable, every gram has been optimized. The goal is not comfort. It is speed, across cobbles, through crosswinds, under the brutal chaos of Paris-Roubaix. The sensors pick up a 0.4% drop in drag compared to last year's frame. That is not a rounding error. That is 10 seconds over 200 kilometers of battered stone and dust. Envei's latest 32mm rim profile adds another 2.5% aerodynamic gain. The numbers translate to 12 seconds saved on a classic route. Shimano's R9200 group set, with its near instantaneous shift response, just 30 milliseconds, means every attack, every surge, every desperate gear change happens without hesitation. In a sport where a single missed shift can end a season, latency is not a tech spec, it is survival. The prototype is not just a showpiece, it is a weapon, field-tested where it matters most. Paris-Roubaix. The cobbles here are unforgiving. Every vibration, every jolt, threatens to shake loose a rider's resolve. But the C64's integrated carbon layup, disc brake cooling ducts, and widened tyre clearance turn chaos into control. The forward-shifted centre of gravity keeps the bike glued to the stones, letting Pogačar and his rivals push the limits of physics. When the dust settles, the stopwatch does not lie. 10 seconds gained, not by legs, but by engineering. Primož Roglič, always chasing an edge, spends hours in the tunnel, his team poring over CFD models, hunting for fractions of a watt. Rumours swirl of Visma, lease a bike's own secret project, a frame rumoured to shave another 0.5% off drag. But the numbers keep coming back to the same truth. At this level, the difference between winning and vanishing is written in decimals. Wind tunnel data, drag coefficients, shift latency, these are the new battlegrounds. The era of feel is dead. Now, every pedal stroke is measured, every second accounted for by a team of engineers, data scientists, and aerodynamicists. On race day, the science leaves the lab and enters the chaos. Paris-Roubaix becomes a rolling experiment. Riders hit the Arenberg Trench at 50 kilometers an hour, bikes bucking under them, chains snapping tight. The prototype frame holds its line. NVA wheels slice through the headwind, their carbon spokes barely flexing. Shimano's electronic shifts snap through the gears under full load. No lag, no error. Every watt delivered to the pedals is translated into speed, every aerodynamic tweak into daylight between rivals. The telemetry does not lie. Over 200 kilometers, the sum of these marginal gains, frame, wheels, group set, adds up to a gap that cannot be closed by pure suffering. The stopwatch shows a 10-second advantage. The rivals know it. The peloton feels it. In the modern cycling documentary, in every Tour de France analysis, it is no longer just about legs and lungs. It is about who brings the fastest machine to the fight. The financial stakes behind these prototypes are massive, but the numbers on the road are even bigger. Paris-Roubaix, Strade Bianche, the Tour. Every race is now a showcase for the arms race in cycling technology. The question is no longer whether the best rider wins, but whether the best machine, tuned by the best minds, can turn watts into seconds and seconds into history. In this new era, the stopwatch is the final judge, and the margin for error is vanishingly small. A closed boardroom, polished marble, espresso cups, and a single contract. 4 years, 12 million euros. No applause, no fanfare. Just a signature that changes the balance of power in professional cycling. Tadej Pogačar becomes not just the highest paid cyclist on the planet, but the anchor of a financial juggernaut, UAE Team Emirates XRG. The numbers are staggering. An annual budget of $250 million. 18% poured directly into research and development, more than most teams spend on their entire equipment roster. Luxury sponsors like Emirates Airline, Tag Heuer, and Loro Piana demand more than podium photos. They want dominance, and they pay for it with checks that buy not just riders, but the future itself. In this world, contracts are weapons. Pogačar's 12 million euros deal is not just a salary, it is leverage. Jonas Vingegaard, the closest rival, sits at 8 million euros. Mathieu van der Poel at 6.5 million euros. The gap is not just on the road, it is in the bank. That 45% premium means more than bragging rights. It means first pick of the best domestiques, the sharpest sports scientists, the deepest analytics team in cycling. Every watt, every second, every marginal gain, funded by a river of cash that never runs dry. Inside the sponsor war rooms, return on investment is not a buzzword. Nielsen data pegs a single Grand Tour stage win at 4.5 million euros in media value. Every classic victory, another 2.1 million euros. 8 major wins in a single season. That is over 30 million euros in sponsor return, triple the team's annual marketing spend. Social media impressions spike into the hundreds of millions. A single power file posted to Strava can send engagement rates soaring 5% above baseline, multiplying brand exposure for every luxury partner stitched onto the jersey. But the real power is in the allocation. 18% of the UAE Team Emirates XRG budget, $45 million, goes straight to research and development. That bankroll funds prototype Colnago frames, ENVE wheels, wind tunnel sessions at the University of Bologna, and artificial intelligence-driven performance labs. It pays for nutrition systems dialed to the gram, recovery pods cold enough to numb pain, and analytics platforms that turn every pedal stroke into a data point. It buys silence in the mountains, control in the classics, and the ability to erase rivals before the race is even decided. This is the new arms race. Visma lease a bike and Ineos, Grenadiers, chase with their own millions. But the gap is more than just dollars. It is in the speed of innovation, the depth of the bench, the ability to build a system where no resource is spared. The result is a hierarchy that feels unbreakable, where the best rider gets the best team, the best tech, the best support, and the best odds. Every rival forced to improvise, to gamble, to hope for a weakness that never comes. The peloton knows the numbers. They see the prototype bikes roll out first. They hear the whispers of 7-figure bonuses for domestiques who deliver a key attack. The pressure is not just on Pogačar, it is on every director, every sponsor, every rival who has to explain why their millions were not enough. The sport is no longer just about legs and lungs. It is about who can spend the most, move the fastest, and turn cash into seconds on the road. In this cycling documentary, in every Tour de France analysis, the question is not just who is the strongest, it is who can afford to win again and again and again. A moment of silence before the storm. In the heart of the peloton, every rider feels the numbers before they see them. The air is tight, heavy, with what hasn't been said. Fear is a metric now. Heart rate monitors don't just track recovery, they track dread. In 2026, the sport's psychology is quantified, its anxiety measured in milliseconds and megabytes. When Tadej Pogačar attacks, it's not just a race, it's a broadcasted experiment in human limits. On the morning of his Tour de France assault, the social media dashboard goes red. Tweets spike 400% in a single hour, the biggest digital surge since Armstrong's Confessions. Every cycling documentary, every cycling analysis, every cycling science channel is live. Hashtags like hashtag Pogačar Attack and hashtag Tour 2026 trend worldwide before the summit is even reached. Sponsors' phones light up. The world is watching, but inside the peloton, nobody is looking at their screens. They are watching the gap grow. Inside UAE Team Emirates XRG's performance lab, data feeds pulse across the wall. Neurofeedback sessions have just finished. EEG caps off, sweat still drying. The numbers are small, but lethal. A 2.5% power boost after 4 weeks of brainwave training, a 9-millisecond rise in heart rate variability overnight. The science says that means deeper recovery, sharper focus, less panic in the red zone. On the road, it means Pogačar can surge harder, clear the pain faster, and attack again before rivals have even caught their breath. For the chasers, that edge is invisible, but crushing. Remco Evenepoel, usually all bravado, sits in the team bus after the Ventoux stage. He stares at the floor, voice barely above a whisper. You feel the gap open, and it's like the whole race freezes. You know he's gone, and you know you can't follow. It's not just legs, it's something else. The peloton feels it too. Radios crackle with coded commands. Hold, wait, don't burn the match. But the fear is already in the legs. Teams that used to attack now defend. Riders who used to gamble now hesitate. The old cycling psychology, risk, bluff, hope, has been replaced by a new kind of paralysis. Every watt, Every second, every failed chase is dissected on Wahoo dashboards and in sponsor war rooms. The pressure is relentless, and it's measured in both blood and bandwidth. When Pogačar posts his power files to Strava, the effect is nuclear. Rivals scroll through the graphs, seeing numbers they can't match. 6.2 watts per kilo, VO2 max, 3.2 millimoles per litre lactate at threshold. The message is clear. If you want to win, you need to break the laws of physiology, not just tactics. The peloton doesn't just race him. They race the numbers, the lab, the expectation that anything less than superhuman is pointless. The media feeds the cycle. Every new power graph, every leaked recovery protocol, every sponsored tweet amplifies the sense that the sport is slipping beyond reach. The fear isn't just of losing, it's the fear of being made obsolete by a rider, by a team, by a system that turns emotion into data and doubt into destiny. The GOAT debate is coming, but for now, the peloton is trapped in the shadow of a man who doesn't just win, he rewrites what's possible and leaves everyone else measuring the distance in heartbeats and hashtags. 7%. That's the gap between Tadej Pogačar and Chris Froome once every variable is stripped away: weight, altitude, equipment, era. The adjusted power index, built from telemetry and lab data, leaves no room for myth. 7%, a number that redraws the border between dominance and disbelief. Yet numbers alone never settle the argument. Every generation crowned its own giant. Eddy Merckx, the cannibal, ruled the 1970s with 380 watts, 8.4 watts per kilogram, and a win rate that made rivals look ordinary. Bernard Hinault, the Badger, hammered the 1980s with 395 watts, 8.6 watts per kilogram, and a reputation for suffering that became legend. Miguel Indurain, silent and relentless, pushed the 1990s to 410 watts, 8.9 watts per kilogram, 5 straight tours, a machine disguised as a man. Then came Lance Armstrong, 425 watts, 9.0 watts per kilogram, a legacy erased by confession, but never forgotten. Chris Froome, the metronome, 4 tours, 440 watts, 9.1 watts per kilogram, a career measured in marginal gains and suspicion. Now, the numbers are out in the open. Pogačar's 2026 files show 460 watts, 9.5 watts per kilogram, VO2 max of 90, and a win rate of 71% in major races. The adjusted index, after correcting for carbon frames, wind tunnel wheels, and AI pacing, still puts him 7% above Froome. The sport's financial engine has exploded. World Tour budgets have grown by 40% since 2016, with another 15% projected by 2030. The business of cycling is now a laboratory where every watt is chased with science and money. Sponsors demand not just victory, but supremacy. Emirates, Tag Heuer, Loro Piana, each contract another turn of the screw. The arms race is relentless, and the price of greatness rises with every season. But the shadow never lifts. Doping scandals haunt every comparison. Merckx, Hinault, Indurain faced less scrutiny and more myth. Armstrong's era, built on secrecy and EPO, left scars that never fully heal. Froome's salbutamol case blurred the line between legal and illicit, a technicality away from disaster. Today, the UCI's biological passport and mass spectrometry catch what once slipped through. Pogačar's files are public, dissected by rivals and fans. But the question lingers, can these numbers be real? A new generation waits at the edge. Jonas Vingegaard, always close, never quite enough. Remco Evenepoel, brilliant but unpredictable. Wout van Aert, a classics monster, yet dropped on the steepest climbs. And Tom Pidcock, British prodigy, Olympic gold, world champion, raised on data, trained in wind tunnels, studying Pogacar's numbers like a secret code. The next chapter could belong to him or to someone still unknown, forged in the pressure of analytics and ambition. The GOAT debate remains unsettled. Each era's numbers are haunted by old scandals, new technology, and the relentless surge of money and science. For now, Pogacar stands alone, but the line between dominance and suspicion grows thinner with every pedal stroke. The peloton rides on, chasing a standard that may never be reached again. Today, every summit finish echoes with one rider's name: Tadej Pogacar. Data, money, and science have built a new cycling order, but fear still travels faster than any aerobike. Rivals recalculate, contracts get fatter, and the peloton's old limits crack under relentless watts per kilogram. This isn't just about dominance, it's about how far obsession and suspicion will push the sport. Cycling history is being rewritten, one brutal attack at a time. Drop your perspective below.